I have had so many people reach out and say, hey, would you make a video about the current state of travel nursing? What it's like. We're seeing so many changes with jobs, the amount of jobs, how long it takes to get contracts, rates are going down, what's going on, everybody's in a panic, and I'm here to talk about it. Oh boy, it's crazy out here in the evening.
What's up, families?
So welcome back to No Ordinary Path, everybody. My name's John. Today is a Real Talk Tuesday. I know you guys were promised more upgrades, and we are definitely working on them. But in the meantime, I felt like there was something that I needed to talk about. Whew. So today is a Real Talk Tuesday, but it's a travel nurse takeover, and don't worry, the upgrade thing is coming. So let's talk about this right now, jumping right into it. Travel nursing is definitely in a state of flux right now. My recruiter reached out to me maybe even more than a month ago with an email that was kind of sent out to all of the Atlas travel nurses, and it basically said, hey, look, we're starting to see some changes. Heads up, be ready, because there's around 20 to 25,000 jobs that are being posted right now, but there's around 50,000 current active travel nurses. And we all know, well, those travel nurses, why they're in the market, and it's because of the COVID rates. Everybody jumped ship, they got tired of the pizza parties, and I'm gonna go make that travel nurse money and make what I felt like I always should make. And I'm very much an advocate for that, you guys. That's a lot about what this channel is. Hey, go out there, lead your own unordinary path, and follow and chase your dreams. And travel nursing was one of those for us, and I know it's been a lot for other people. If you're somebody that we inspired, that makes me feel amazing, and I hope you've enjoyed your journey so far. And if you're on the verge and still thinking about it, don't let this video discourage you. I've got some stuff at the very end. Stick around. It's going to be important. We're in an endemic now. So there's less jobs. There are still plenty of jobs out there, but there's less than there used to be because there's not as many COVID patients, which is good for the country and good for people, but bad for travel nursing business. Gone are those $5,000 to $6,000 a week crazy COVID rates. We're probably not going to see those again. You know, there's always going to be like strike nursing and stuff like that, where you may still be able to find contracts like that, but currently the average contract is definitely decreasing. We are going back to maybe pre-COVID, but we're not quite there yet, but we're definitely seeing the change. Here's some of the good, okay? Number one, rates are not back down to where they were prior to COVID. When the Farnsworth family first started traveling, it was before it was cool, and we were making money that was still better than we were making as a staff nurse, but it was not like anything what I've made in the last 2-3 years as traveling during the pandemic. There are still jobs out there, and there are still rates that are decent. Number two, there are definitely areas in the country that are still high need. Right now, according to my recruiter, we're seeing a lot of needs in the northeast part of the country where some of those rates are still up. But for the most part, there are still hot button areas in the country where rates are still around there, so you can look for those areas to go to. And number three, and finally, jobs are still being posted. Yes, there's more travelers than there are current jobs, but they're still on the market. The jobs are around, and so I'm still getting texts from fast staff almost daily that says, hey, come work with us in Fargo or Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, or some random place in Texas or something like that. So there are still jobs available out there. So take those three things at heart to know that, hey, if you're still getting into the game, it's still not a necessarily bad time. It's just you may have to be a little bit more patient than, say, a year ago or something like that. So that kind of brings us to where we're at right now with, here are some things that I suggest to you as a somewhat seasoned traveler. We've been doing this, for more than 4 years now. I'm like up to contract like 12 or 13, I think. So, I've done some pre-COVID. I've definitely lived through the COVID phase, and now here we are at hopefully the end of the COVID phase. All right, so what can you do? What can you do to ready yourself? And what is to come? What is to be expected? Right now, Atlas is telling me that it's taking on average around 20 submittals to secure a contract. And for what that means is that, let's say you had one you wanted to get somewhere and it just doesn't happen. So you go on to the next one and you wait and you get denied, or somebody else fills the spot, and it's just boom, 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 kind of rapid fire submittals to all of these different places before you can nail one down that says, yeah, we'll give you the job. Be patient. That's going to be huge, and be willing to submit to several different places throughout the next however long it takes you to nail that contract down. So patience and lots of submittals is going to be key. Going along with that are definitely keep your areas of where you want to work a little more broad. We initially said that we had kind of one state we wanted to get into, and I have opened it up to like a quarter of the country at this point in time. To keep doing this profession, I can't be super picky about it. So I know that that's coming. I've prepared myself for it. I've prepared the family for it as well, and that's going to be part of it. Buff your resume. I have said this before in many other travel nurse takeovers that I have done. The better that you can shine on paper, the better it will look, because these managers in the past, may have gotten 60, 70 applications for a single open position, are now getting 300, 400 because there's so many people looking for a job. So anything that you can do to make yourself stand out, the better it will be. I'll be honest, experience in the travel industry is probably number one, but after that, it's experience in that specific line of profession that you're in. So if you're in the ICU, you can say, I have experience with open hearts and CVICU. I can do dialysis like CRT. I'm comfortable with, these kind of specialties, that kind of stuff. And maybe think about getting a extra certification on top of your expertise. Do you have your BSN? I know recently, one of our good friends, Adventures with Chance, Katie, just finished her ADN to BSN program. That is a huge congratulations and really helps buff the resume. So if you're in that boat, consider doing what Katie did and try to get your BSN. That does help. Also, that extra certification on top of it. I am an ICU nurse, so I have a CCRN, a critical care registered nurse certification on top of that. And that really helps. Now, a couple of years ago in the middle of the pandemic, people didn't care about that. They needed a body and they needed somebody that could do the work decently. But now we're going back to kind of how it was beforehand, and these certificates and these extra certifications really do help. Consider reaching out to previous contracts. If you've been doing this as a while as a travel nurse and you've had places that you've worked where it's been a great environment, you really enjoyed the job, they really liked you, consider calling up one of those managers and say, hey, look, I'm looking for a job right now. Getting a contract's kind of tough. Do you have anything open? Do you need anything open? I could use a job, yada, yada. I mean, play the sympathy card a little bit. That's not too bad. I tell you, honestly, that's how I get the job here at Banner every year. It's often not posted, or they're using a different agency instead of Atlas, but I call them up and I say, hey, look, I've come to work at this hospital now for 3 years, 4 years. I could use a job. I like you guys. You like me. Let's make something happen. And usually we work it out. Keep things in perspective is another big tip here. I know it sucks when we see the rates kind of take dives like this, and they are certainly diving. But please remember, travel nursing, even before COVID, was a lucrative business. You were still making more money than the staff nurses were making. But on that note, if you're one of those nurses who's been doing it and you're getting savings is decreasing a little bit, you're starting to worry, stuff like that, maybe it is time to hang it up. For me and mine, it's not. But there's pretty decent amounts of vacancies in staff nurse positions. And while those vacancies are there, you can secure a pretty decent position at a place that you would like to work, or maybe even a decent rate. I know a guy recently who took, I tease him and I say, oh, he drank the Kool-Aid, but he took a staff position and negotiated a rate with his experience, the fact that he'd been at that hospital and all those things, at a pretty decent rate for a staff nurse. All that is to say, keep it into perspective and be patient, because I think we're seeing the change. I can tell you this, being with Atlas and being at Banner here in Phoenix, we are going into the summer season. Can you tell? Can you tell? We are definitely, I am like ready to scoot out of here as soon as possible. It hit 109 degrees the other day. We are ready to go. But I do know that despite all of these bad things that are, the bad things, that Banner is hiring like 20 new travel nurses to cover night shift positions and stuff like that in the progressive care unit because they're short from the hospital, from people leaving to go travel. So they're having to hire other travel nurses and stuff like that. So there are still open positions here in Phoenix. And with that, I'm going to segue into a totally shameless plug on my part and say that I'm happy to announce that the No Ordinary Path, what we're going to call the Desert Oasis, will be open and available on June 1st. It is on Furnished Finder as an active listing right now. So if you're a travel nurse, or no travel nurses that are coming into the Phoenix area looking for a place to stay, this is a great place that we have set up and put everything together for you with the pool and all that stuff. Go check out the listing, you guys. If you've been a follower of the channel, you know too. There'll be a link in the description below with all these things, but keep the faith, everybody. I feel like this is a period of change. Stuff's gonna level out. Stick with it. You know, reach out if you've got questions. If you're new here, leave me a message in the comments below. We love seeing new people. And just as always, you guys, thank you for being here with us. We look forward to putting out the upcoming, improvement upgrades to DOT. There's so much cool stuff going on. We've got like 2 weeks left here in Phoenix and we are out the door. So all the adventures to come. Hit the like button. That always helps the video. Thank you so much and we'll see you out there.